This is Jonathan Cahn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time there's a new video that's posted. Thanks again, and God bless you. Shalom.
Listen carefully, because what I'm about to reveal could change everything you thought you knew about the days ahead. We stand at the edge of something ancient, something that has been written long before our time, now unfolding before our very eyes. Stay with me through every word, because the signs are no longer hidden. They are screaming from the headlines, from the chaos in our streets, from the trembling of the earth itself. Don't skip even one moment of this message. The year 2026 carries warnings that most people will ignore, but you have been called to see what others refuse to see. Watch until the very end, because the 10 prophecies I'm about to share are not theories or guesses. They are patterns carved into history itself, patterns that are now repeating with terrifying precision. Listen closely to what I'm about to tell you, because this prophecy is already in motion and most people don't even realize it. The shaking has begun. Right now, as you watch this, governments around the world are crumbling from within. Don't look away from this message, because what happens next will determine whether you're prepared or caught completely off guard. The systems you've trusted your entire life, the banks, the leaders, the institutions, they're all standing on sand, and the tide is coming in fast. Stay with me through every detail of this, because by the end you'll see the pattern that's been hidden in plain sight for decades. Watch what's happening across the globe right now. Nations that once seemed unshakable are facing internal collapse. Their economies are drowning in debt they can never repay. Their people are rising up in the streets, demanding change but not knowing what they're really asking for. Pay attention to this part, because it's crucial. When people lose faith in their government, they become desperate, and desperate people will accept anyone who promises them stability. This is exactly how dictators rise to power. This is exactly how freedom dies. And 2026 is the year when this pattern reaches its breaking point. Don't skip ahead, because I need you to understand something that most people refuse to see. Every great empire in history fell the same way. Rome didn't fall because of outside enemies. It fell because it rotted from the inside. The government became corrupt, the money became worthless, and the people turned on each other. Does this sound familiar? It should, because we're watching the exact same thing happen right now in nations across every continent. Listen carefully to the news reports, look at the protests, see the anger boiling over. These are not random events. These are the birth pangs of something far bigger coming. Keep watching, because here's where it gets even more terrifying. When nations shake like this, leaders emerge who promise to fix everything. They speak words of peace and prosperity. They tell you they have the answers. They promise security if you just trust them with more power. Stay with me here, because this is the most dangerous moment of all. History shows us that the leaders who rise during chaos are often the ones who bring the greatest destruction. They gain power by solving one crisis. Then they use that power to create a system of control you cannot escape. Watch what happens when currencies collapse. Watch what happens when people can't afford food, when their life savings disappear overnight, when the system they built their entire future on crumbles to dust. This is not fantasy, this is pattern, this is history. This is prophecy manifesting before our eyes. Don't turn away from this truth just because it's uncomfortable. The uncomfortable truth is the only thing that can prepare you for what's coming. Pay close attention to this next part, because it reveals the timeline. The economic warning signs are already flashing red. The political divisions are deeper than they've been in generations. The trust in institutions is at an all-time low. All of these things together create the perfect storm for the shaking of nations. And when nations shake, borders change, wars begin, and millions of lives are turned upside down in an instant. Keep listening, because the next prophecy connects directly to this one. And when you see how they fit together, the picture becomes crystal clear. Stay with me now, because what I'm about to reveal will shake you to your core. The earth itself is speaking, and most people are too distracted to hear its voice. Listen carefully to this prophecy, because fire and water are no longer just elements of nature. They've become the messengers of judgment. The warning signs that time is running out. Don't click away from this message, because by the time you finish watching, you'll understand why 2026 is the year when nature stops whispering and starts screaming. Watch what's happening with the volcanoes right now. Dormant mountains that have slept for hundreds of years are waking up. Scientists are baffling at the patterns they're seeing. Volcanic activity is increasing across the Ring of Fire, and if you don't know what that means, pay very close attention. The Ring of Fire circles the Pacific Ocean, and when it fully awakens, entire cities will be buried in ash, coastlines will disappear, and millions will have nowhere to run. This isn't fear-mongering, this is fact. This is observable reality that most media won't tell you about because they don't want you to panic. But I'm telling you to prepare, not to panic. Stay with me through this entire section, because the fire is only half of the story. Now listen to what's happening with water. Keep your eyes on this, because the floods we're seeing are unlike anything in recorded history. Entire regions that never flooded before are now underwater. Cities built on solid ground for centuries are being swallowed by rising waters. And here's what they're not telling you. Watch this closely. The weather patterns have shifted in ways that scientists cannot fully explain. The jet streams have moved, the ocean currents have changed, and the result is catastrophic flooding in some areas, while other regions face the worst droughts ever recorded. Don't ignore this pattern, because it's accelerating faster than anyone predicted. Pay attention to the droughts, because this is where fire and water meet in the most terrifying way. When land dries up, it becomes fuel. When rivers disappear, entire agricultural systems collapse. When crops fail, people starve. When people starve, nations go to war over resources. Watch how quickly this can spiral. One drought leads to food shortages. Food shortages lead to riots. Riots lead to government collapse. And we're right back to the first prophecy. Do you see how they're all connected? Keep watching, because the pattern gets even clearer. Listen to this next part very carefully, because it reveals the timeline we're facing. In 2025, we saw record-breaking wildfires on multiple continents. We saw floods that displaced millions. We saw droughts that destroyed entire harvests. And every expert, every climate scientist, every meteorologist is saying the same thing. 2026 will be worse, much worse. Don't turn away from this truth just because it's terrifying. The only thing more dangerous than knowing what's coming is refusing to see it. Watch what happens when fire and water strike at the same time. California burns while the Midwest floods. Australia faces infernos while Asia drowns. Europe bakes in heat waves while storms tear through coastal cities. This is not random chaos. This is a pattern. This is a cycle. This is nature itself responding to something deeper. Stay with me, because when you understand what's causing this, the next prophecy will make perfect sense, and you'll see why these aren't separate disasters, but one massive warning. Don't look away from this next prophecy, because what I'm about to expose is already happening in your pocket, on your wrist, and soon it will be under your skin. Listen very carefully to every word I say, because this is the prophecy that most people will deny even as it closes around them like a trap. The mark of control is not coming in 2026. It's already here, and most people are welcoming it with open arms. Stay with me through this entire revelation, because by the end you'll recognize the signs you've been seeing every single day, but never understood their true meaning. Watch what's happening with your money right now. Cash is disappearing. Banks are pushing digital payments. Governments around the world are creating their own digital currencies. Pay close attention to this, because once your money exists only as numbers on a screen, they can control every penny you spend. They can see where you shop, what you buy, who you give money to, and here's the terrifying part, they can turn it off whenever they want. Don't skip past this section, because this is the foundation of total control. When they control your money, they control your life. Keep watching, because it gets even deeper. Your phone already tracks everywhere you go. Your apps know what you search for, what you watch, who you talk to, and how long you talk to them. Your smart devices listen to your conversations. Your car knows every place you drive. Your fitness tracker monitors your heartbeat. Stay with me here, because when you add all of this together, you realize that you're already living in a surveillance system more powerful than any dictator in history could have ever dreamed of. And most people don't even care because it's convenient. Listen to this next part, because it reveals where this is heading. Right now, they're selling you the technology piece by piece. First, it was the smartphone. You need it for communication. Then it was the smartwatch. You need it for health. Then it was the payment chip. You need it for convenience. Pay very close attention to the pattern. Every step makes you more dependent. Every step collects more data. Every step brings you closer to a system where you cannot buy, sell, or exist without being tracked, monitored, and controlled. Don't turn away from this truth just because you've already accepted some of these technologies. Understanding what they're building is the first step to protecting yourself. Watch what happens in countries that are ahead of this curve. Social credit systems are already active in some nations. Citizens are scored based on their behavior, their purchases, their online activity, even their friendships. Low scores mean you can't travel, can't get loans, can't access certain services. Keep your focus on this, because what starts in one country spreads to others. What seems impossible today becomes mandatory tomorrow. The pattern is always the same. They introduce it as optional, then convenient, then necessary, then required. Pay attention to how they're selling this to you. They say it's for your safety, your security, your convenience. They say it will stop criminals, prevent fraud, make life easier. And yes, it will do those things. But listen carefully, it will also create a system where one central authority knows everything about you and can control every aspect of your existence. Stay with me, because when this connects to the economic collapse from the first prophecy and the natural disasters from the second, you'll see exactly how they plan to implement total control and why 2026 is the year when refusing the mark becomes almost impossible. Keep your eyes locked on this screen, because what I'm about to reveal is unfolding on the world stage right now, and the mainstream media is only showing you pieces of a much larger and more terrifying picture. Listen to every single word of this prophecy, because the wars of the East are not just about territory or resources. They're about ancient hatreds that have been burning for thousands of years, and 2026 is the year when these fires explode into flames that will consume nations. Don't skip ahead, because understanding this prophecy could mean the difference between being prepared and being caught in the crossfire of a conflict that will reshape the entire world. Watch what's happening along the borders right now. Armies are gathering in numbers we haven't seen since World War II. Military drills are happening every single week. Nations that were once allies are now pointing weapons at each other. Pay very close attention to this, because when you see massive troop movements, when you see weapons being stockpiled, when you see war games being played out on borders, these are not just exercises, these are preparations. Stay with me through this section, because the East is a powder keg, and the fuse has already been lit. Listen carefully to the ancient conflicts that never died, they just went silent for a while. Borders that were drawn by colonial powers are being challenged. Territories that have been disputed for centuries are now becoming flashpoints for modern warfare. Religious divisions that go back thousands of years are being weaponized by leaders who understand that the easiest way to unite your people is to give them a common enemy. Don't look away from this pattern, because history shows us that when ancient grudges meet modern weapons, the result is catastrophic. Keep watching, because the alliances are shifting in ways that should terrify everyone. Nations that swore they would never work together are suddenly making deals behind closed doors. Enemies are becoming partners. Friends are becoming threats. Pay attention to who is meeting with whom, who is signing treaties, who is making promises of support. Stay focused on this, because in the game of global power, Alliances shift like sand in the desert. And when the shooting starts, you need to know who stands where and why it matters to you. Watch what happens when economic desperation from the first prophecy meets military ambition. When nations are collapsing internally, leaders look outward for solutions. They need resources to survive. They need victories to distract their people. They need enemies to blame for their problems. Listen to this very carefully. Desperate nations do desperate things, and desperate nations with nuclear weapons are the most dangerous force on the planet. Don't turn away from this reality just because it's frightening. The most frightening realities are the ones we need to face head on. Pay close attention to the timeline we're facing. Right now, in this moment, there are at least 5 major conflict zones in the East that could explode into full-scale war at any time. Military experts are warning that we're closer to global conflict than we've been in 80 years. Intelligence agencies are reporting unprecedented levels of threat. Keep your focus here, because when one domino falls in the East, they all fall, and the chain reaction will pull in superpowers from every corner of the globe. Stay with me, because the next prophecy reveals who's actually orchestrating this chaos, and why they want you to believe it's all just random conflict. Stay right here with me, because this 5th prophecy is the most dangerous of all, and here's why you won't see it coming. Listen to every word I'm about to say, because the great deception is not about obvious lies or clear enemies. It's about truth being twisted so skillfully that even the wisest people will be fooled. Don't you dare click away from this message, because understanding this prophecy is the only way to protect yourself from being swept up in the greatest wave of deception the world has ever seen. Pay attention to this entire section, because by the end, you'll realize that almost everything you've been told might be part of the deception itself. Watch what's happening right now with information. The truth is being buried under mountains of lies, half-truths, and propaganda. You can find 1,000 sources saying one thing, and 1,000 sources saying the exact opposite. Keep your focus here, because this is intentional. When people can't tell what's true anymore, they stop looking for truth altogether. They just believe whatever feels right, whatever sounds good, whatever their favorite influencer tells them. Don't skip past this point, because this is exactly how entire populations get controlled without even realizing they're being manipulated. Listen carefully to who the false prophets are in our time. They're not just religious leaders, though some of them are. They're celebrities with millions of followers. They're politicians promising to save you. They're tech gurus claiming they'll solve all of humanity's problems. They're healers offering miracle cures. They're spiritual teachers mixing truth with lies so perfectly that you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. Stay with me through this, because these false prophets are everywhere, and they all have one thing in common. They promise you hope, they promise you answers, they promise you peace, but what they deliver is bondage. Watch how they perform their miracles. Pay very close attention to this part, because in 2026, we have technology that can fake almost anything. Artificial intelligence can create videos of people saying things they never said. Deepfakes are so realistic that you can't trust your own eyes anymore. Holographic technology can project images that look completely real. Medical technology can produce healings that seem miraculous, but are just advanced science being presented as supernatural power. Don't turn away from this reality, because when someone shows you a miracle, you need to ask yourself, is this truly from a divine source? Or is this just technology and psychology being used to deceive you? Keep watching, because here's where it gets even more sinister. The false prophets are not working alone. They're connected to the systems of control from the 3rd prophecy. They're being used by the powers orchestrating the wars from the 4th prophecy. They're rising up during the chaos of collapsing nations and natural disasters. Listen to this very carefully. Every crisis creates an opportunity for a deceiver to present themselves as a savior. Stay focused on this pattern, because 2026 will see more crisis than any year in recent history, which means more false saviors will emerge than ever before. Pay attention to how they mix truth with lies. This is the key to understanding the great deception. They don't tell you complete lies because you'd recognize those. Instead, they tell you 90% truth and 10% poison. They quote ancient wisdom but twist its meaning. They perform genuine acts of kindness but use them to gain your trust for darker purposes later. They speak words that sound like love but lead you into spiritual darkness. Don't let your guard down for even a moment, because the most effective lies are the ones wrapped in beautiful truth. Watch what happens when millions of people follow these false prophets. They stop thinking for themselves. They stop questioning. They stop searching for real truth. They become part of a collective that moves as one, believes as one, and acts as one. Keep your eyes on this, because when you have massive groups of people all believing the same deception, they become incredibly powerful and incredibly dangerous. History shows us that the greatest atrocities were committed by people who genuinely believed they were doing the right thing, because they followed false prophets who deceived them. Listen to this next part because it reveals how to protect yourself. The only defense against deception is knowing the truth so deeply that lies cannot shake you. You must test everything. You must question everything. You must be willing to stand alone if necessary. Stay with me here, because in 2026, standing for truth will make you unpopular. It will make you seem crazy to some people. It will cost you friendships, maybe even family relationships. But the alternative is being swept away in a deception so massive that billions will be lost in it. Pay very close attention to this warning. The false prophets will perform signs and wonders that amaze you. They will speak with authority and confidence. They will have millions of followers backing them up. They will make you feel like you're missing out if you don't join them. Don't be fooled by numbers. Don't be fooled by miracles. Don't be fooled by smooth words. Keep watching for the fruit of their teachings. Do they lead people toward freedom or control? Do they encourage thinking or blind obedience? Do they admit when they're wrong, or do they double down on their errors? Stay with me, because understanding these 5 prophecies together reveals the complete picture of what's coming in 2026 and why you need to be prepared not just physically, but mentally and spiritually for the chaos ahead.